Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Difficulty Level Indie. I am your host, Poseidon Magna, and times are troubling. Definitely, everyone. Thank you for showing your interest in supporting the first episode of my new podcast. A lot of great feedback, a lot of internet trolls. You exist. We acknowledge you. I was once one of you back in the ancient days of lore. Yeah, definitely there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the indie game, and we just kind of want to touch on these things. So let's get started. One of the biggest things that I want to start out by saying that sets us differently from other podcasts, other gaming podcasts, is going to be that not only are we doing research on indie development, games, movies, the whole nine, but we are also an indie studio, which means that we're not just doing this for fun because we enjoy knowing these things, which we do. We're also trying to build that thing. We all know that the gaming industry, the film industry, a lot of industries, Hollywood in general, is just on fire. And with AI touching on every little thing, it's pretty difficult to be confident in making choices for certain careers. And that can be scary for a lot of different people. Now, don't get me wrong, they're like gaming isn't dead or going away. The global gaming market in 2024 is worth $188.5 billion. If I had 2% of that, life would be so much better. The indie segment of the gaming industry, 1.3 billion, depending on how you define like where you self-publish. So, we make up a small indie development makes up a small but not small portion of that, which is like another 2%, right? And even on Steam, they had over 14,000 games released in 2023 with 50 to 60% being indie titles. That's huge. So imagine, just jumping in that pool, giving it a go, and then seeing where we land, because we do it for the love. I'm a huge JRPG fan. I grew up on RPGs like Final Fantasy VII, Golden Sun. So you can imagine that my first title of the game that we're producing is going to be an RPG, which is called Paradigm Infinite. Google it. Last time we spoke a little bit about a studio failing called Studio Camellia, making a game called Alzara Radiant Echoes. Still heartbroken, but we move forward, we push on. And who knows? I mean, that might be a rescue mission for the future where we want to be like, hey, can we buy that and finish it for you? That open source type deal. Give it to the company, give it to the community. They are known for doing stuff like that. Yeah. So, according to the 2023 GDC survey, a lot of these studios are either not making money or less than 10K a year from their video games. I want to say less than 10% make over like 100K from their game projects. So you're not looking for that outbreak game when you're a beginning studio, in my opinion. It's not what I'm aiming for. My goal is to pretty much replace that 9 to 5. Like a lot of people want to switch from their 9 to 5 to gaming development. Yeah, you just want to put out a well-serviced game that allows you to continuously be a game developer. So, I guess it all depends on your lifestyle. Like if I made personally anywhere from 50 to 90K off a video game that I dropped within the next year, that would allow me to quit my job and be a full-time dev. But most people like myself have a 9 to 5 and do dev in their part-time, get to do this. Trying to record has been a struggle as a father to a toddler and a newborn. So to all the dad devs out there, we see you. We commend you. Keep pushing. That is to say, what is it? The average of indie game revenue would probably be anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000, depending on your niche. There are statistics that show which gaming genres are better to get into money wise more than others. Obviously, the biggest one being MMOs, which is impossible to do, I don't think, with a small team. I mean, maybe. I don't think I've heard of a small team making an MMO. I don't know who did Power World. I don't know how big their team was. Actually, I think it was a Chinese team. I think they're huge. But obviously, Power World made a lot of money. It looks like they're going to owe Nintendo a lot of money. But, you know, they're just part of, I think they're a part of that 5% of top performers that make more than $250,000 in gross revenue, which is, I mean, you know, we all aim to be the best, but don't, you know, kill your darlings. I think that's the saying, where you just like, if that doesn't happen, then it's not happening. There are milestones that you can hit to get to that point. When it comes to indie teams, I mean, I started out solo, and now I want to say we are a 4-man team with freelancing along the way. I want to say there's a difference between indie developers and solo developers. Solo developers are literally insane and they're masochists. I mean, I started out as a solo dev, obviously, because that's almost what you have to do. But, you know, you get that proof to show people that, like, hey, I am doing this thing. Then it's a lot easier to bring on other people to help you develop your dream and your goal. And you have to be that convincing person. Now, while solo devs are allowed to do their thing and I commend you and everything, I am definitely more of an indie dev team guy because I believe doing things together will make it so much easier because it's just, there's so many things to learn. Like solo devs, I feel like you would have to be a generalist in almost everything. Animation, coding, design, like there are so many different things that you can do. But when you have a group of people, you can assign different titles to what they want to do, like UI and things of that nature. Like if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Point blank period, you know? Because while solo developers probably take anywhere from a minimum of 5 to 10 years to develop one game, with an indie team, it can take like 1 to 3 years. Obviously, who wouldn't want to push out a game in under a year or in a year? That's an amazing thing. We've been working on Paradigm Infinite for about 2 years now. So we're about to hit that 3-year mark and we're looking like we're going to be able to push out next year. Look out for that. Now, a huge point in indie dev is going to be that financial uncertainty. So, like I said, most people who are starting out dev usually have 9-to-5s because making that career change can be difficult when it doesn't immediately produce money. And again, it is a hard decision to try to go into an industry that is having massive layoffs amongst other things. So it is warranted that you should have multiple releases before any significant income. I know some people that love doing like the smaller games, you know, make a game that is very simple, anywhere from 5 to 10 hours, not even 5 to 10 hours, like 2 to 5 hours, let that compound over time while building up their repertoire. Obviously, I'm going for the RPG, which I don't expect to make millions, but hopefully it does well enough to, like I said before, you know, switch to that full-time dev so that we can work on our next installment or our next game. Relying on that one hit is way too risky. It's better to plan for multiple different things, have your hand in a couple different pots so that you're not just playing the lotto, you know, rolling the dice. This ain't Dungeons and Dragons. Now, how do you become a full-time dev? I would say relying on contract work. So that's outsourcing your own studio to work for other people. Maybe some bigger studios for certain things like animation, rigging. A lot of AAA studios, other AA studios will outsource those things. Freelancing, you can do that if you want. Get your foot in that door. And that's, you know, you're not working on your own projects, but it could help you fund your own project. Grants. Grants are huge in the indie space. Epic mega grants. I'm not an Unreal boy, but we'll get there. And then publishers, if you're lucky, will see your dream, support it. And that's just the easy way in. Not the easy way. It's not easy. I hate the word easy, but the fortunate way in. Then there's the way that we plan on going, which is crowdfunding. We talked about some Kickstarters last episode, which the Kickstarter success rate, 38%, not the highest, but for those who have a strong, compelling campaign, it's worth the shot. And I mean, you got to do the research, you got to do the marketing. There's so much. This is, again, solo dev. I don't know how to do it. It's a lot. It's a lot. And the more things you do in life, the harder it is, really. A lot of devs report that they have a lot of mental health problems, and there's obviously the big bad burnout. You can get tired of doing this for long periods of time. That's why they recommend smaller games. A lot of people who want to break into dev, because it's better to have those milestones and see your progress rather than be like, all right, I'm going to solo dev an MMORPG and you go dark for 15 years. And then hopefully something comes out of it, right? It's just you gotta take care of your mental health, because sometimes there's irreversible damage. It can affect your home life, your friendships. So if you think you need to seek therapy, please do. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Now, when do you think is a good time to make that switch to full time? I would probably say once you've validated your game with a strong community or presented a demo, which is what we aim to do for our Kickstarter. We're going to present a demo either first or at the end of the Kickstarter. We'll decide. Or if you have like a year to a year and a half worth of savings, again, kind of like I was saying earlier, or if you've already launched a video game and you've already got a net gain, that could be good because people already know who you are. But you can also reduce that risk through early access, Patreon, contract-based hybrid funding. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. So do some research, try a few. ChatGPT, it's your friend. Don't be afraid of the big bad AI for certain things. Yes, we know that it's a plague on the gaming, art industry, the film industry, the music industry. There's always going to be bad people doing bad things and making good situations seem bad. If I chronicle myself giving out $1 million to the less fortunate, people will be like, wow, you only did that for clout. You can't beat them. You gotta lose sometime. It's not all 100% positive. We all can't be Keanu Reeves. I feel like the moment I say this, something's going to happen with Keanu Reeves. You'll be like, Keanu Reeves funded Blood Diamonds. I'm like, what? No, Keanu, please. With indie development, there are some bumps in the road. For those problems, I feel like a lot of people don't utilize their inner circle when it comes to needing that help. From one post I saw, which is, if you have a project that you're trying to get out there, go through your phone. You probably have over 100 people in your phone who you haven't spoken to for a long time, who you can just hit up. Obviously, don't just be a spam bot, but hit them up, let them know about your project, show them the proof. Obviously say hey, long time no see, no hear. Just wanted to know if you mind supporting this project that I'm really passionate about. Yeah, there's like that. I thought that was a really huge nugget that a lot of people don't utilize. Because top indie developers are going to be the outliers. Like literally 3% of indie developers have grossed over $1 million per title on Steam, often averaging $3 million per game. And most successful teams are not solo developers. So there's a lot. And oh man, another big thing that I've seen happen in the game studio that I spoke about with someone recently. If you are a solo developer or an indie team and you don't have a lot of funds, you do not need to go to every single gaming convention. Please save your money, work on your game. Every gaming convention, maybe go to a few, 1 or 2 a year. Some of the bigger ones that are local where you don't have to travel across the world. I was graced beyond the God that I won tickets to GDC 2025, and my community helped me raise enough funds to go for 3 days. And it was a phenomenal experience. I met a lot of different people. But GDC, from what I hear, this year was actually one of the weakest years. PlayStation didn't even show up. And as an indie developer, it wasn't geared towards indie developers at the convention, the conference, rather. It just felt like there was a lot of big AI and tech moguls there. So for GDC to have statistics like 32% of developers work at indie studios and see none of that represented there was a huge bust, in my opinion. While I got some great experiences, met some amazing people, got to hang out and become friends with someone I follow on Twitch. Shout out Julian. It was rough. A few months later, I actually went to MomoCon in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a gaming convention, and they had an entire indie game section. Like the moment you walk in, it's like boom, drop right there in the middle. I got to meet a couple different game developers, Steam Games, which is we have to workshop that name, I think, because of Steam. Subsume, some of the other ones to mention. But it was a really great experience. Nerdy Bear Studios. And then, of course, Midnight Comics was there, and love hanging out with those guys. But yeah, there needs to be more conventions and I want to say focus in the indie game industry, because we have to go back to our roots. We have to go back to our roots. Now, when I say we have to go back to our roots, I say that because the big bad AI, human interaction, human touch, and ideals are going to be worth so much more in the upcoming decade. So being able to almost proof that like this wasn't an idea that was thrown together through ChatGPT, then generated by ChatGPT, then pushed out by ChatGPT, showing that interest and that love and that dedication and those finer details is going to be worth it, because people are just downright turning down projects and not supporting them if you have the slightest bit of AI. If you got the letters AI in your name, they're like, I don't know. It's a tough time to navigate, but definitely want to keep your finger on the pulse of kind of which direction to go. I feel like, with most things in life, there are risks. Obviously, some things are riskier than most, and a lot of people are afraid to make that dip. I saw the other day on Instagram, one of my favorite artists that I follow, and he was an animator, decided to step back from animation and make it more of a hobby. And then I think returned to the military. And I was like, it's because they were afraid of AI, replacing their jobs in the future. That kind of goes back into indie animation. We started out here at Mavros Prime with my manga Crossmancer, which we are trying to turn into indie anime itself over time. Maybe we'll get the funding or the sponsors. It's a long, arduous road. But I feel like for those who are afraid, for the artists, the illustrators, like those are a huge chunk of the industry. Especially that's what I see a lot at conventions. Everyone's making the same stuff, like the One Piece and the Naruto, the Gachakuda, like I don't even know if I pronounced that right. They are afraid because they do the static thing. My personal opinion is double down on hand-drawn animation. It has to be the answer, because at this point, you've rarely seen, I know everyone was afraid of the Ghibli trend when everyone's taking pictures and it was turning to Ghibli. Yeah, I get it, right? But AI, for the moment, cannot very accurately depict 2D animation from what I know. And I try to watch AI very carefully. I know a lot of people try to avoid it, but I definitely believe in know your enemy. Know your enemy. So I haven't seen any 2D animations from AI. Like I've seen them, but they're bad, obviously. So double down on animation. 3D animation, AI might get in the next 3 to 5, maybe less, hopefully more. But 2D animation is going to show that we are still in control of the community, of the art, of real art. Like I said, I grew up on anime. We all know that 90s anime had that super drawn out, very detailed animations like Akira, Ghost in the Shell. You could see the detail drawn out. And now people are like, I know a lot of people will be like, but it takes so much, that takes so long. And it should. Art takes long. Art takes time. Art takes, effort. Art takes effort. And you really gotta spend time on those things. Otherwise AI will take them. Like it's a part of the horse to the car. Everybody that had a horse when the first Henry T. Ford came out, they're like, I got 5 horses. Why would I need one of these doohickeys? And they were like, these aren't going to replace the horses, and look at us now. You don't think people didn't fight back when cars were invented? You don't, I mean, just the same thing when traditional hand art went to digital art. The big fight was digital art isn't even art. It's not anything. And we went through that. So getting through the AI thing, learn your enemies, know your enemies, utilize AI in a moral way that can springboard you into a better position for the future. Don't just run. Don't hide. It's coming. It's coming. What more can we say? One of the we recently spoke to some fans of Mavros Prime, and they were asking, kind of about what the podcast is going on about. Difficulty level indie is my outlet, and also trying to reach deeper into the community of not only indie video games, but indie animation, indie music, and indie filmmaking. We're not just a game studio. We are a media company. So we'll be producing and are working on producing many different types of media across all spectrums because, that's entertainment, obviously. I mean, we're not Disney, but we're doing Disney things. Maybe there'll be a theme park one day. Who knows? Man. And if you go to YouTube, you can actually see some of the indie animation that we're working for on Crossmancer. Check that out. And then we're obviously going deeper into indie filmmaking, which is kind of going into the animation thing. And I feel like this obviously you see the production upgrade. We spent billions on this setup. Billions. We spared no expense. Let's see. I think that's it for today. Comment, like, subscribe, follow, wait for episode 3. We're working on more. We're doing great things. Follow us on Instagram, all across all social media. Mavros Prime. Peace.